what are your plans for the off season and possibly playing or just doing individual workouts?
Yeah, I mean, probably take a little bit of a break here, just for maybe a week. I don't really want to lose a ton of the stuff I've worked on, and just trying to get my body back to full health.
What happens when the savior of a sport decides she no longer wants to be sacrificed on national television? For months, fans watched in absolute awe as the most electrifying player in modern basketball history dragged an entire league out of complete obscurity, shattered decades-old attendance records, and made network executives billions of dollars, all while enduring a level of relentless hostility that would break even the most seasoned veteran. Everyone from casual viewers to die-hard analysts expected the rookie phenom to just smile for the cameras, shoot her unbelievable logo threes, and take the brutal physical beatings in stride, gracefully accepting the harsh, unspoken realities of professional basketball. They thought she would quietly shoulder the massive burden of a deeply flawed franchise and a league establishment that seemed to actively resent her very existence, acting like a perfectly obedient soldier while the veterans took their thinly veiled shots at her in the press and on the hardwood. The mainstream narrative pushed by sports networks was that everything was perfectly fine, that the dangerously physical play was just a traditional rite of passage, and that she was happily adjusting to her new life in the pros with a smile on her face. But that manufactured fairy tale wasn't the whole story. And what was actually happening behind closed doors would shock everyone. The target on her back was painted the exact moment she stepped off the stage of the draft, glowing with the unprecedented promise of transforming a financially struggling sport forever. Instead of a welcoming committee grateful for the massive influx of cash and attention, she was met with a terrifying gauntlet of resentment, petty rivalries, and downright dangerous play that made every single game look significantly more like a combat sport than a professional basketball match. Opponents weren't just trying to play tough, hard-nosed defense. They were sending violent personal messages, deliberately throwing heavy shoulders, hip-checking her aggressively to the hardwood, and delivering cheap shots while the referees miraculously swallowed their whistles time and time again. It was an absolute shot show of officiating, with blatant flagrant fouls routinely being downgraded and intentional aggression being completely brushed off by commentators as simple veteran initiation. Players who had spent their entire careers toiling away in half-empty, quiet arenas were suddenly playing in front of completely sold-out, screaming crowds. And instead of thanking the rookie who single-handedly made that incredible phenomenon happen, they decided to take out their deep-seated frustrations directly on her ribs. You could see the sheer, undeniable exhaustion in her eyes as she peeled herself off the floor night after night, constantly looking around for a loyal teammate to step up and defend her honor, only to find nothing but empty space and silence. The league itself was perfectly happy to plaster her face on absolutely every billboard, promotional package, and social media post to drive engagement. But when it came to actually protecting their biggest financial asset from bodily harm, they deliberately looked the other way. And this deafening silence from the very people who were supposed to have her back set the stage for a massive, unprecedented internal collapse that no one in the media saw coming. The Indiana Fever front office somehow managed to completely fumble the greatest gift a sports franchise could ever possibly receive, operating with a staggering level of incompetence that left fans and analysts utterly baffled. When an organization drafts a once-in-a-generation player who instantly makes them the most watched, most talked-about team in the entire league, basic common sense dictates that management must immediately build a protective fortress around her, bringing in seasoned, tough enforcers, and creating an offensive system perfectly tailored to her transcendent playmaking abilities. Instead of doing the obvious, the Fever mercilessly threw her to the wolves with a haphazardly constructed, fundamentally flawed roster, and a coaching staff that seemed deeply opposed to letting her play the fast-paced, high-scoring style of basketball that made her a global icon in the first place. Press conferences quickly devolved into a bizarre masterclass in passive aggression, with the head coach routinely throwing her superstar rookie under the bus, sharply criticizing her shot selection in front of hungry reporters and demanding she conform to a significantly slower, outdated traditional game plan that completely neutralized her on-court magic. It was absolutely maddening for millions of viewers to watch a generational talent being forcibly shoved into a mediocre, unimaginative system, essentially taking a high-performance sports car engine and dropping it into a rusty, broken-down pickup truck, while complaining that it wasn't towing the line properly. There was absolutely no designated protector on the floor. No fierce veteran willing to get right in the face of an opposing player who just delivered a dirty hit, leaving the young rookie completely isolated to fight her own brutal battles, both physically and mentally. This shocking lack of institutional support wasn't just simple negligence. It bordered on deliberate professional sabotage, turning the locker room and the court into an incredibly toxic environment that was rapidly wearing down her love for the game. But if the local situation in Indiana was a total disaster, the blatant disrespect on a national and international scale was about to get exponentially worse. When the highly anticipated Olympic roster for Team USA was finally announced, the entire sports world let out a collective gasp of utter disbelief as the most famous, highly viewed female athlete on the entire planet was inexplicably left off the prestigious list. The official excuses peddled by the selection committee range from a supposed lack of senior national team experience to vague, unprovable chemistry concerns. But anyone with half a brain paying attention knew exactly what was really going on behind the scenes. It was a calculated, deliberate, highly political freezing out by a notoriously cliquey establishment that simply did not want to share the massive international spotlight with a young player who supposedly hadn't waited her turn in their archaic, unwritten hierarchy. Coaches and committee members hit the media circuit aggressively, trying desperately to justify the wildly unpopular decision to a furious public. But the optics were a complete and total disaster, exposing a deep-seated jealousy and pettiness that transcended mere basketball strategy. For the rookie superstar, this highly publicized, globally discussed snub served as a massive, brutal wake-up call, permanently stripping away any lingering naive illusion she might have had about fairness, pure meritocracy, or genuine loyalty within the women's basketball establishment. She handled the massive rejection with her usual, heavily praised public grace, politely refusing to give the desperate media the dramatic, angry soundbite they were fishing for. But privately, the underlying message was received loud and clear. If she could shatter every single viewing record in television history, single-handedly secure chartered flights for the entire league so players wouldn't have to fly commercial, and effectively negotiate a massive new television rights deal without earning even a single ounce of actual respect from the old guard, then playing their petty political games was a complete waste of her time. And this profound realization fundamentally shifted how she viewed her entire professional future, leading to an entirely new, ruthless business mindset.